Welcome back to the Barrett channel and welcome to another video. If you're new here, my name is Lee and I run this channel with my son Ollie. We're based here in Shenzhen in China, and I want to give everyone, all our subscribers who've been following me, an update on my health and cancer treatment situation. But just a quick recap for anybody that's new here. A number of months ago, about 6 months ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, something that's very rare in men, but there you go, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had some initial chemotherapy to try and shrink the tumour before it was removed by surgery. That was not successful. It didn't shrink the tumour, it didn't get any bigger, but it didn't shrink. So I then went ahead and had surgery. And for the last 10 or 11 weeks, I've been on a course of chemotherapy, which is standard practice for post-surgery breast cancer. And I just want to talk about the how I felt on that chemotherapy. Now, my last video was I was a number of weeks in, not many weeks in, and I said that I didn't feel too bad. Well, that kind of changed. I didn't feel too bad up until about maybe week 7. And the only problem up until week 7 I was getting is that my blood cell count, my white blood cell count was low. So I was having some injections to increase my white blood cell count, and I have those injections currently. And I generally take them 2 to 3 days before I'm going to have my chemotherapy, because if I don't take them, I then go to the hospital, they check my blood, and if my white blood cells are too low, I can't have my chemotherapy. So I have these injections for my white blood cell count. Now, getting on to the effects of the chemotherapy. So on about week 7, I started to have a problem with a lot of acid in my stomach and here. And this is something I've never suffered with before. And this, I can only assume, is a direct result of the chemotherapy. So I had some tablets prescribed for that, but up until I had those tablets prescribed, I've had an anti-acid tablet and an anti-sickness tablet, and sort of taking these pills has made the situation a lot better. But before I had those pills, there was actually a couple of days, and there was one particular day, I think maybe week 7 or week 8, where I literally just couldn't get out of bed. I was fine if I lay flat. As soon as I sat up, I wanted to vomit, and in fact on the one day I vomited 4 or 5 times, and it was acid and bile that was coming up, very acidy, very thin, yellowy liquid, not nice at all. And since I informed my doctor about this, I had that, I think, on 2 occasions. The first day was quite bad, and then it was a bit better on the second day. My appetite was just completely shot. In fact, the one day I ate virtually nothing at all. And then I informed the doctor about this, and she prescribed the pills, which I now take. And since I've been taking those pills, I've only had sort of one day, I think that was after my 10th chemotherapy, where I sort of felt a little bit sicky, but it wasn't as bad as the first time. Just so you know, it's the 28th of February 2022 today, and I'm due for my 11th chemotherapy tomorrow at the Hong Kong University Hospital in Shenzhen. So I get up pretty early in the morning to go there. Now, as regards other side effects I've been experiencing, and these have slowly got worse as the chemotherapy's gone on, as the time's gone on, is that they informed me that I would have some numbness feeling in my fingers and my toes. And for me, that again, it was very, very little until about week 6 or 7, and it started to get worse to the point now where my toes, it's not just my toes, it's kind of about a third of the end of my foot is like a numb feeling. Now, the best way I can describe this, imagine if you went out into the snow and you got freezing cold feet, really, really cold feet, and they're like blocks of ice. However, my feet are not cold. If I touch them, they're warm, but the feeling is that like they're freezing cold. And the other problem is that my nails, instead of growing sort of straight with a slight curve, they've really started to curve around like this and started growing into the sides of my toes, and that's become quite painful. That's mainly happened on my my big toe, and that's become really, really quite painful. And the side effect that's happened to my fingers is that if you can imagine, you are hammering and you hit yourself on the thumbnail or a fingernail, and then a few days later underneath that nail starts to bruise and it becomes very tender. That's how the ends of my fingers feel. And again, that is worse on my thumbs, less so on my fingers. But I'm kind of in a situation where I'm now looking forward to the end of my chemotherapy. I have the whole course is for 12 weeks, and tomorrow I'll be on week 11, and then after that I just finally have one more. So I'm feeling quite relieved about that, and I've been told by the doctor that this issue in my fingers and my toes will take some time to go away. And I'm also looking, my hair's kind of a bit of a mess at the moment. It kind of started to grow back, and then it stopped growing back for this second lot of chemotherapy. And so if I kind of look like the mad professor out of Back to the Future, a bit of an Einstein look now, because it's really sort of grey and wispy and that. So it's really not a good look at the moment. And then once I finished my chemotherapy, because my tumour was larger than, I think it was 6 centimetres in diameter, I've been advised by the doctors that it's good practice to take a course of radiotherapy. And so that was discussed with the oncologist doctor last week, and it's not been finalised yet, but I will either have 5 weeks or 6 weeks of radiotherapy, and that is for 5 days a week. So I will attend the hospital from Monday to Friday. Now, because we live quite far away from the hospital, it takes me sometimes up to an hour and a half to get there in a taxi. It may be that I will try and find a small hotel near the hospital, and I will stay there maybe Monday night to Thursday night and come back at weekends. I've not decided yet. I might, for the first week or two, travel backwards and forwards there every day. And something else that surprised me when we were discussing the chemotherapy is actually the cost of the chemotherapy. And in fact, the cost of the chemotherapy will be the most expensive part of the whole of the treatment, even more expensive than the 2+ week stay in hospital with a surgery, which somewhat surprised me. I was very, very surprised at that. I have no idea why radiotherapy is so expensive. If anybody does know why that is the case, then let me down in the comments. I can only assume it's that the machinery is very expensive, or a lot of people have to get involved. I really don't know. But yeah, so that gives you a kind of update from a mental point of view. I've tried to remain as positive as possible. Obviously, on the days where I haven't felt so good, I have felt a bit down. On those days where I had sickness, and again, my appetite is not what it should be. I still have a coffee. I try not to drink as much, but I do still enjoy a coffee. Now I know some of you will say you shouldn't be drinking coffee, but it's the drink I like, and I'm going to continue drinking my coffee. But anyway, I so much appreciate all you guys. I know we haven't been getting as much content up as we'd like to be, and that's because of two things. One, my cancer, but also being from Shenzhen, there's been a number of coronavirus cases in Shenzhen recently, so there's a lot of restrictions and it becomes difficult to travel outside of Shenzhen. It becomes quite what's the word, challenging to travel to some parts of China. And interestingly, Ollie has a video that he's recorded about that for quite a lot of issues he got when he was traveling to a certain province in China. Now, whether that video will already be up before this one, or whether this one will be up first, I'm not too sure yet. But if it's not already up, look out for it. And if it is up, I will put a link here or here, whichever side it is, that you can go and have a look at that. But as I say, I massively appreciate all your support. I've had so much messages of encouragement, and people on WeChat, in the messages on Twitter, in messages on YouTube and the Chinese social media platforms we post on, and that's given me such a massive amount of positive energy. So I just want to thank you all so much for that. As I said, also one of the reasons I want to document this journey on social media is so that anybody else, and I think it will be particularly women, as breast cancer is much more common for women than it is men, but from what I'm led to believe and understand from the doctor, the procedures and the surgery and the chemotherapy is exactly the same. I hope it will just, if any women are suffering from breast cancer out there, or your mothers or aunts or relatives, or even yourselves, I hope you can watch my videos and hopefully know a little bit about what to expect and what symptoms you might get, and etc. etc. But anyway, again, once more, a big thank you. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It does help us tremendously. And if you like the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. But anyway, as always, for now, take care.